Welcome to my review of the Project Cars 2 demo. I am a GT fan. I've never played Project Cars before. I don't have Project Cars 2. But, well, I'll go ahead and review this because it was free, and it's just, I guess it's a good comparison to GT Sport. I guess it's a game that would be roughly as close to it as you're going to get. So, well, here we go, folks. To start off, I've done all three of the events that are in the demo. The one I'm showing is the Ferrari GT3, the Italia, around the big Red Bull ring, I think. I said no this, it's in GT6 Red Bull Raceway ring, whatever it is, y'all know what I'm talking about. And it's in the rain. So this will be interesting, folks. This is why I picked this replay from the others. This is interesting, to say the least. But let's get into it. I'll analyze the race sort of kinda, and analyze the game, what's there as well. To start off, well, as y'all can see, it's in the rain. GT Sport doesn't have rain. Plus Project Cars 2. Immediate plus. But the rain physics in general are unique, to say the least. The graphics are alright. That spray from a bit away, kind of like this, looks a little bit arcadey. But supposedly the graphics are different in the main game than the demo. Different how, I don't know. Haven't played the main game, but it doesn't look bad, but I wouldn't exactly say that it looks completely realistic. But I guess by default it does look more realistic than GT Sport, because GT Sport doesn't have it at all. Better to have something that isn't the most realistic than to not have it at all. So I'll give a pass there, because at least it has it. One thing that's kind of hard to give a pass out of Project Cars 2 is just the overall physics. These feel weird. Again, some people say this game's more realistic than Sport. And well, the rain and stuff is, you barely can be on the throttle in a monsoon. That's realistic, as y'all can see there. What's kind of odd is the other two races. The F1 is or F Formula car, I don't know if it's F1 or not, I think it actually might be, is relatively easy to drive. It's not as easy as like the Lamborghini in the other event, but I had it pretty much what I run in Gran Turismo with a Formula 1 car. Low traction control, like the default ABS, like realistic or whatever, and then that's it. That's pretty much what I would run an F1 car in GT6. GT Sport has no F1 cars. And F1 car in GT6 was relatively hard to drive. It seems realistic. And this game is actually still kind of easy. I don't know, again, different in the main game than the demo probably, but yeah. Seems kind of odd that I was actually not bad driving an F1 car the very first time I drove it in a video game I've never played before. But on to the other cars. The Lamborghini was fine. The sound is fine. The damage is... It exists. There's damage to cars more than the scrapes and stuff. So that's a point for Project Cars 2. And it's also a point in general. I've heard people say before the reason cars don't have damage in games is because the manufacturers don't like seeing their cars get beat up and stuff. But this game has damage. As far as I can tell. I assume every car has it. I'll try to pull up a video where I can show it, but that's... I don't know how to do that. As y'all can see here, this has replays, but I turned the interface off just so y'all don't have to look at that, and then now I don't know how to turn it back on. It was do crosshairs to a button where I had to press X to turn it off, but crosshairs here don't really do anything, so I have no idea how to turn it back on. But whatever, there's damage, trust me, it's actually pretty good. It's much better than Sport, so that's another plus for Project Cars 2. Everything else though is sorta, kinda, minus. As I said, it's sort of minus in how F1 cars feel, but again, GT Sport doesn't actually have F1 cars, so you still kinda, sorta give a point to Project Cars, but then it kinda gets negated by the fact of old games from 10 years ago, like the old Gran Turismo's, the F1 cars kinda, sorta even felt better, whatever. The eye of the beholder there. They look good, but not quite as good as GT Sport would if it had it. AKA, the graphics in this game aren't really all that close to sport. As I said, I don't know how to change around views, but I mean, no matter what view it was, it seemed just off of GT Sport. I mean, just look at the Red Bull ring here. I mean, it doesn't look bad, but just Sport looks better in my opinion. Just, it's kind of hard to explain. It's more of a look at it graphics type thing, but I mean, just to me, Sport looks better. And another negative for Project Cars 2 as well is, well, that kind of sorta. It's wonky to like test stuff. Like they were trying to test damage and stuff. It was just a big kaboom. There is damage to the car. It did more damage, but nothing actually like came off or anything. And then the reverse gear is actually kind of hard to do because there's more controls for the cars than there actually are buttons on the PS4 controllers. You have to do it like a combination of buttons and stuff, and it's kind of wonky. And yeah, the controls are in this game. I mean, they're sophisticated, but I think it's meant for wheels, this game. I don't think it's all that controller friendly. Again, I mean, as y'all can see, I'm terrible driving in the rain, but that's because I haven't really driven a simulator game in the rain on the PS4 yet, and I guess I probably never will, because I guess I'll go ahead and finish this here with overall verdict. There ain't much to the demo. It's probably not really worth comparing it to GT Sport. I mean, even comparing to GT Sport's early demo, aka the closed beta, it was better than this even. It didn't have all that much to it either, but I mean, the physics felt good. The cars felt as I figured they would be. Like the front wheel drive cars understeered. There's no front wheel drive cars to test in this, but still. The powerful rear wheel drive cars oversteered. You could sort of kind of drift even on racing tires with them if you had it tuned right. And just overall graphics are better. Just, they are. There's really no explaining it. Again, that's more of a look to it. So, yeah, I'm not sure how this relates to the full game. It might be a lot worse. It might be a little worse. From what I heard, it is, like, worse. Like, the graphics of the main game are better, and I think the physics might be, too. But, I mean, this isn't bad. I guess about the closest thing I've ever played to Project Cars would be Need for Speed Shift. I think they're made by, like, some of the same people or something like that. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I think that's right. And I can kind of see it in that game. I remember playing Shift 1 and liking it. I remember playing Shift 2 and thinking the physics are weird. I remember playing this because I just did it recently and thinking that the physics are kind of weird. So, whatever. I'll just stick to Need for Speed Shift. But if I want to play something sort of kind of like Project Cars. But Project Cars 2 itself is alright, but for being the second installment and then trying to beat GT and stuff, GT coming into it new with GT Sport, not even really know how to do a game completely like this. GT Sport's still better than the actual second one out of this series, from what I can tell from this. GT Sport might not stay better because, well, the online's iffy as it is, and they've kind of only changed it for the worse. And from everything I've read, Project Cars 2 is a definite improvement over 1. So Project Cars is kind of on the upswing, and GT Sport is on the downswing. But I guess that means GT Sport does have more upside, though. And for now, it's actually still even ahead. So even though it may be on a downward slope, it's still ahead as of now and can actually get better. Project Cars 2, I guess we'll see, but from what I can tell, it's what it is, and what it is ain't necessarily better. So, well, I hope you all enjoyed this review. I am biased towards GT by default because that's what I've always played. But, I mean, as y'all see, I could probably stick to GT Sport. I can't drive Project Cars if my life depended on it in the rain. But, well, that's realistic. The physics aren't bad, just they're not quite as good as Sport. The graphics are realistic, they're not bad, they're just not as good as GT Sport. But, well, this does have rain. If you like driving in the rain and you have a PS4, because Sport isn't on the PS4, then go ahead and get Project Cars. Other than that, I don't really see much of a point of getting Project Cars 2, especially if you already have Need for Speed Shift. That game seems superior, and like a whole heck of a heap of ways other than graphics, just because it's on a PS3. So, yeah. Is this game worth a yeehaw? Yeah, sir, why not? Yeehaw. It's not the greatest, but it's certainly not bad.